The VelocityOne controller from 𝘚𝘪𝘮 almost qualifies as the best flight controller / HOTAS that I have ever seen, but for some notable issues which you will need to know before you buy. If you are looking for a detailed, honest and fact-based review, then you're in the right place. Please don't forget to hit the like button, leave me a comment and subscribe if you'd like to see more. The VelocityOne controller ships with full compatibility for both PC and Xbox, but there are also many other features on this device: a small OLED information and setup display, Bluetooth connectivity, for audio only sadly, a trackpad and a built-in twin USB-C hub, and it comes with an app to allow you to quickly and seamlessly change configuration. Let's say I am impressed. I'm even more impressed that the price has dropped down from £130 or £120 to just £90, which I consider to be a very competitive price point. You can't even find a 10-year-old HOTAS device at that price these days. Not that this is officially a HOTAS device, but it is a brand new product, well, at least a year old, and it's at a reasonable price, and these days that is almost unheard of. Full disclosure, I did request a device to review 1 year ago before they launched. They never replied to me, so I have now finally bought this device with my own money, and I am glad to finally be able to review it honestly for you. I will focus on the product information, the features and the positives, and at the end of the video I will discuss the issues and make some recommendations and then sum everything up. So for absolute full disclosure, I have owned multiple 𝘚𝘪𝘮 headsets over the years, and each one can be reviewed in exactly the same way. They look good, the audio is great, and the build quality is terrible, and the customer service is even worse than that. Every time I bought a new headset, it was purely because something plastic had broken on the one that I was using, and the last, and I do mean the last, 𝘚𝘪𝘮 headset that I will ever buy had more metal on it than plastic, but true to form, it was the one small plastic bit which broke less than a year after I bought it, and customer services were not interested in helping me out at all. So it's fair to say that I'm going to be looking very closely at the build quality of this VelocityOne controller. And surprisingly, I have to say that it appears to be a very well designed, feature-rich controller with a very high build quality. So let's begin with a quick unboxing. So the outer case design just makes the box look dirty. It's a poor design choice in my opinion. Inside there are two small quick guide pamphlets. They're quite useful to get you up and running. They show you what buttons are configured for some of the most prevalent games. And then it has two lift-up flaps which act as a handle, offering extreme protection and super easy extraction. Now you might think that all of this is unimportant, but I would argue that every piece of the puzzle is important to the overall level of quality, and so far I can find very little to complain about. Inside there is a box with a high quality and very long braided detachable USB-C cable. There are also 3 M5 bolts which will allow you to attach this to a desk or a racket, and that might be an essential step, as I will discuss a little bit more later on. So my first impression out of the box, it's smaller than I was expecting, not by much, but a little, but it does look really good. The default hand position makes it easy to reach all of the buttons on the controller top. The action on the stick feels smooth with decent resistance, and the twist grip feels the same. Both the levers are super smooth with a detent button at each end, and the soft handles are interchangeable. And there are 4 buttons either side on the base, and 4 Xbox Essential buttons at the back. All of the buttons feel of a decent quality. So this is an ambidextrous controller, allowing ease of use for either left or right hand configuration. To help further facilitate this, the controller is designed in perfect symmetry, with the exception of the hat switch and the free-look mini joystick. There are numerous height settings for the handrest, and the handrest itself, whilst a little bit clunky to swap around, is effective, and it complements the ambidextrous design. This will suit pretty much anybody who wants to use it. The USB-C cable plugs into the front of the controller, where the additional 2 USB-C hub ports can also be located. Now, 𝘚𝘪𝘮 might be thinking of releasing a bespoke standalone HOTAS to go with this. They already have a set of foot pedals which could be theoretically connected here. Alternatively, you could plug in any other manufacturer's throttle with a detachable cable too. So this is actually a massive plus point, something which hasn't been done since Cytec brought out their yokes many years ago. Now, for someone who likes to keep my sim rigs realistic yet affordable, this is a really massive plus point, because not only does it keep things neat and tidy, but it just makes your life so much easier and often cheaper too. As soon as the device is connected to a USB power source, the whole controller lights up, and it looks pretty damn excellent. Next, I connected the controller to my PC via Bluetooth. Now, this is done by using the silver rotation selector at the base and clicking right in order to confirm and left in order to go back. Once connected, I was able to use it as the default audio source. Unfortunately, the device does not come with any earbuds, and I haven't had a set of wired earbuds for quite some years, so I couldn't actually test the audio quality. However, as I mentioned earlier on, I have owned numerous wireless 𝘚𝘪𝘮 headsets, and I expect the audio is going to be very good indeed. I didn't think to try this until just now, but theoretically you could use the Bluetooth connectivity capability in order to connect to your phone or something else and listen to music whilst you're playing your favourite flight sim through your TV or your PC. So, next I attempted to update the device firmware via the PC app. Unfortunately, the official 𝘚𝘪𝘮 website links to this file completely failed to complete. Eventually, I found the VelocityOne app on the Microsoft Store, and I downloaded it successfully from there. I was pleased to see that it already has the most up-to-date firmware installed, so no updates were required at this point. I also installed the mobile app, and I discovered I needed to disconnect the Bluetooth from the PC in order to discover the controller via the Bluetooth on my phone for the app to connect. That being said, once connected, it is kind of cool actually to be able to change numerous settings via my mobile phone, including the color configuration, the flight system configuration, and a few other little tweaks and things. I think it's also possible that you can update the firmware via the app, although I wouldn't like to confirm that definitely, because as I say, my firmware was up to date, so I didn't get to try it out. So I installed Microsoft Flight Simulator and tested the default configuration settings, and they seemed pretty much okay, except for the scroll wheel. Now, every time I used it, the plane completely inverted and crashed into the mountain. Now, the first time I did it completely by accident. So I tried to check within Microsoft Flight Simulator what it was actually bound to, but the Discover by Input system failed to recognize the scroll wheel at all. Eventually, I did manage to identify it as being the aileron trim. I scrolled all the way down until the button active indicator lit up, and then I tried it again. This time it worked perfectly. So, if you're having the same issue that I was, there is a potential fix for you there. Now, I couldn't really tell much difference with the sensitivity settings on the device, but I did find that when set to precision, the controller inputs were silky smooth and very responsive. But only if you're flying in a relaxed environment. It really does seem perfect for something like this, something like Microsoft Flight Simulator, where your inputs are going to be smooth and calm and relaxed. But unfortunately, that's not quite the same when we get to combat fighting. I'll talk about that in a moment. So I want to highlight some issues and some recommendations here. Although the rubber feet on the bottom of the device do an excellent job of stopping the VelocityOne from sliding across my desk, it doesn't do anything at all to stop it from flipping over when I'm moving the joystick and I only have one hand on the device. In fact, it does it so easily that it became necessary to hold the controller down with one hand in order to stop it moving when I'm using the joystick. One-handed flying will be problematic at best. Maybe if you removed the hand rest, you would be able to put your base of your hand on the bottom of the joystick and hold the base down. Of course, you do have the 3 bolts that come with it, so you can clamp it to a desk or a flight sim rig of some sort. I was kind of hoping this would be a sort of a mobile, quick to implement system, and without sort of quick clamps in order to clamp it to the desk, it does, I think, cause a bit of a problem. And that is a bit of an issue too, because In order to reach the second lever, for example to lower the flaps, you're going to have to somehow cross your arms over and reach around, and if you're still trying to fly the plane on final, you might get some accidental liftoff, which means that your accuracy is going to be impeded, and there are quite a few problems there. So whilst we're talking about accidental, a few times I accidentally managed to click on the cockpit with the centralised thumb trackpad. Now it's a shame because that's such a great feature. I just wish it could be activated or deactivated with a long press of the middle button. Maybe there actually is a way to disable it, but if there isn't, then that's a real issue. One thing I did do is turn down the sensitivity, and that made it a lot easier to click on things when I was intending to do it, but it didn't fully stop my accidental dragging of the mouse when I was moving my thumb towards a button. I mentioned this briefly before when flying in combat. Despite a few attempted solutions, the issue seems to be that there is actually a limited amount of travel available in the joystick and the rudder twist grip. Now you probably wouldn't notice this if this is your first device ever, but having flown quite a few different devices, quite a few different flight sim HOTAS systems, I know what I expected to feel, and it's a lot shorter than that, probably about 2/3 if I had to put an amount on it. What I mean by this is that other joysticks have a much longer side to side and back to front action, and the twist action itself is a lot longer as well. What that means is it's a lot easier to be precise when you're under pressure, if you're in combat for example, but the shorter range of the VelocityOne controller means that you have to be even more precise with your movements, and even if you reduce the sensitivity, the maximum and minimum amount of available movement is still going to be the same. This becomes incredibly noticeable and restrictive. Now like I say, if this is your first ever HOTAS controller system, you'll probably adapt to it quicker than I did, but it was an instant turn off for me. Well, as I've probably mentioned already, I would have liked to have seen a quick release desk clamp. That would have solved the movement issue, and it would have made this a really viable, quick system to implement and set up and fly anywhere. Basically like a mobile HOTAS system, even though it's not technically a HOTAS system. Unfortunately, that isn't the case. Equally, I think they should have included some earphones, some cabled earphones, because I don't imagine there are many people out there who still have them these days. I could be wrong. Maybe I've just decided to get rid of all of mine and I should have kept one in reserve. But the last set I ever had came with the mobile phone I bought, and I only buy mobile phones once every 5 to 10 years. Now, when I connected this device to my PC via Bluetooth, it actually showed a battery power of 20%, and for a moment I got quite excited at the prospect of this device being a rechargeable device that I could connect via Bluetooth only and not by cable. Now, this would make it very, very, very similar to an Xbox controller itself, which I have 4 of and I love. They work brilliantly, and for a moment I thought this was going to act the same way. Sadly, it doesn't. It's just obviously a default 20% marker that just pops up. I don't know why it's there. It doesn't appear to go up or down or anything like that. But what an incredible feature that would have been. And whilst we're on the subject, this controller doesn't have vibration or haptic feedback either, or pretend forced feedback, if you will. And imagine if they'd have implemented either or both of those features. This really, really would have been a considerably better device just with those 2 features alone. So let me sum everything up for you guys. Turtle Beach really have designed and delivered one of the very best controller joysticks that I've ever reviewed. I am significantly impressed, way more impressed with the build quality and the design than I ever thought I would be. It is so packed full of excellent and unique features. For just £90, I genuinely think this is worth every penny. If you're new to flight sims or just a casual flight sim enthusiast, perhaps you're playing on Xbox only and not playing on a PC, and you've got no real intentions of using this for combat flying ever in the future, then I think for £90 you will be hard pressed to find a better device, especially as there is a chance you could add an additional device to it at a later stage and then add to the realism. The only significant issue I had with this device was the lack of available travel with the joystick axis and the twist grip rudder axis. It really does make it feel like a toy instead of a flight stick controller. When you combine that with the base lifting up issue and the need to reach around yourself in order to get to the other lever or buttons, it starts to lose its shine a little bit. If Turtle Beach released a dedicated HOTAS throttle quadrant and added some weight to the base of this device, then it would jump up in my estimation significantly. Or if they did the Xbox thing with the Bluetooth connectivity and the rumble feedback. These are all things they could do to make this device, I think, a lot better, and then it would, I think, be justifiably worth £130. Unfortunately, for me, this device just did not deliver what it was I was hoping for. I have to say that their VelocityOne flight deck is releasing in February 2024, and having looked at it, I must admit that does appear to address pretty much all of my concerns about this device, but it does come with a hefty price tag. That being said, now that I've had a chance to get my hands on the VelocityOne flight stick, I am confident that I can vouch for the design and build quality of their next device. Turtle Beach really have hit the ground running here, and I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far, and I will be watching them far more closely in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Please do hit the like button, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and please leave me your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this device, especially if you have it, and maybe I've missed some things out. Maybe there's some features that you are aware of that I am not aware of. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care. Goodbye for now.